revered and reviled, worshipped in some cultures, feared and despised by others who believe them to be agents of the underworld. Vultures call us to look deeper for the hidden layers of meaning where enlightenment can be found. Vultures have the sacred assignment of being Death Eaters, which is a great service to all as they clear away the old, making way for the new. They're visionaries and experts at the law of attraction. Their way of life is all about receiving abundance. Natural recyclers, cleaning up the detritus that might otherwise spread disease, making them excellent stewards of the earth. How can the same creature be perceived in such contradictory ways? Simple. It's all in the eyes or perception of the beholder, and what you focus on expands. How many things in your life might change for the better if you chose to see through new eyes, through divine eyes, non-judgmental, appreciating, accepting that all beings are components in the divine schematic of life. Hi, I'm Debbra Lupien, voice of the Akashic Records. You might be wondering what vultures have to do with the Akashic Records. If you've been following this channel, you know that my work is about sharing spiritual messages and lessons. If you're new, the short version is my Akashic Records team often communicate through nature to share a message or inspire a new action, and often both, as is the case in this message from Vultures. Recently, while driving to town, I was astonished to see 3 turkey vultures lounging on the lawn at the Masonic Lodge. Not something you see every day. And why the Masonic Lodge? On my way home, I made sure to slow down to see if they were still there. Amazingly, there were now a dozen turkey vultures calmly lounging at the lodge. There were enough of them to have their own baseball team. Obviously, this was a message and a mystery that needed to be solved. What could turkey vultures possibly have to say that would merit that much effort to get my attention? As it turned out, the message was indeed important and served to emphasize some recent messages from Archangel Metatron. First, I'll share the story of meeting with Vulture, followed by the message, because there's always a story, which serves to expand upon the message. If you're on a spiritual journey of enlightenment, you'll want to stick around until the very end because this is an important message addressing our rapid acceleration experience. In a meditative state, I called out to Turkey Vulture. What message do you bring? Why were you parked at the Masonic Lodge? What would you like us to know about you? Is there one among you who would like to come forward and share? A smallish female steps forward and says, I am Mary, meek and mild. I will speak for my kind. Her energy was meek and mild. It was steady, unafraid, very centered. She just was who she was and no more. Later, I understood she was chosen because she was far less intimidating than the average vulture. Thank you, Mary, I said. I appreciate you volunteering to be the spokesbird. The two of us walked together a short distance from the flock to speak. I sat on the grass while she perched on a low branch of a stout bush, so we were nearly eye to eye. Her eyes were gentler than images you often see of vultures. I could feel her soul and her vitality, the life force within. She really was open and allowing me to connect. I hadn't expected that. Should I start with questions or would you like to begin, Mary? She batted long lashes at me in a very demurring fashion, coquettish almost. Why, I'd like to begin, thank you very much, she said. I settled into a comfortable position to listen. She begins. My kind have been a force to be reckoned with lo these many millennia. We have always been, in one form or another, as long as there has been life and subsequently death. We perform a sacred service to this world of tending to the dead. Generations upon generations of my tribe have come and gone, always reliably performing this important task that many find distasteful or that sparks fear in their heart. We find that curious, for death is an intrinsic part of life. Imagine the ugliness that would ensue without it. When the lifetime clock has run its final cycle, we are there to clean up. That this also happens to be our sustenance is by divine design. We do not question that choice. It simply is. And we are honored to have been chosen. We realize that your kind looks upon us with fear and or disdain, revulsion even. We find that quite peculiar, as we are doing you a great service. But no matter, your perception does not change our purpose. This is way above your pay grade. She says that with a smile and a wink, seemingly pleased with her small joke. Then she looks at me sideways as if to gauge my reaction. When I smile and acknowledge her cleverness, she seems pleased, smiles, and shifts her weight a bit on the branch. I can feel waves of love and peace emanating from her, deep love for her tribe, especially the young ones. Love of fully living her purpose, and by extension, love for Earth. There is not a trace of worry or stress. She's quite comfortable in her feather suit to be exactly who she was created to be. She's neither bored nor afraid. She knows one day her own time clock will stop ticking and she will depart. There is not an iota of concern attached to that knowledge. It simply is, and she simply is, and both are perfect in her worldview. She experiences great joy feeling the sun upon her body, soaring through the sky, on the lookout for the next meal, being with her friends and family, slumbering together in the trees. All is right with her world, and she wouldn't change a thing. The thought crosses my mind, yeah, it's a good life except for the rotting food part. She picks up that thought and shrugs her shoulders. To each their own. We are grateful for the food provided by our Creator and quite enjoy having buffets served up on a regular basis. We feel blessed to always have a good supply of nourishing food because we know that is not the case for all lives on the planet. Then she invites me to fly with her, hopping down beside me and dipping a wing in my direction so that I might mount. I climb up and find a comfortable spot, and off we go. Up, up, and away, headed towards the clouds. I can feel the air growing chilly as we climb higher. Then she levels out and we glide across the sky over hills, valleys, water, fields, and roads. It's a spectacular, literal bird's eye view. I'm quite enjoying the experience until she notices a tasty morsel below and goes into a dive, speeding rapidly towards the ground, creating quite the wind draft. Has she forgotten I'm here? Fear kicks in that I might tumble off and end up being her next meal. Hearing my thought brings her back to awareness of my presence. She had momentarily forgotten as she reflexively headed towards the banquet. Quickly apologizing, she levels out, moving back to a lovely glide across the sky. Then she spoke. It is true. One day you may be a meal for my kind, but today is not that day. Have no fear. We never take life. We're merely the cleanup crew. She speaks with such earnestness that my fear dissipates completely. What else might we talk about, Mary? Any stories you want to share? Words of wisdom? Words of caution? Can you see into the future? She looks surprised by the last question, clearly not expecting it. Her reaction made me think there was something there to be probed. Does that mean you are able to see the future? She nods and sends me a vision, a circle of vultures standing around a small pool, gazing into it. They're scanning future events through the pool. Well, that must come in handy for finding your next meal, I think to myself. Uh-huh, she smiles. What else do you use the pool for? I asked. Well, we enjoy bathing in it, drinking from it, playing games on very hot days. It's a special place to which we often return. Does this pool exist on this plane? I asked. That's a little complicated, she said. It's on this plane, but not in this exact time space. It's more like an adjacent space where we're able to congregate privately without being disturbed by anyone or anything in this reality. Do all of your kind go there? I asked. No, not all, only the more enlightened ones, the leaders, which you might call shamans. They're experienced at interpreting the messages that come from the pond, and not all desire to be initiated in the ways of the seer. They're content to just be where they are. Well, that puts a whole different spin on them splashing and playing in the water. Feels more like a ritual, a cleansing empowerment experience. Mary nods in the affirmative. It feels like there's more, but perhaps that part isn't for outsiders. At this point, our conversation seems to have come to a natural end. We're back at the spot where we began. She perched on the limb of the bush and I sitting in the grass. May I ask some questions now? She nods. Can you explain to me the significance of seeing 3 vultures at the Masonic Lodge, followed by a dozen shortly after? Do the numbers mean anything? She responds, we were sent to that spot to get your attention. 3 is significant, of course. It's a powerful statement all on its own. The power of a triangle, energy surging in the center like the pyramids, a self-contained ecosystem. You might dismiss 1 or even 2 of us, but not 3, because hardwired into every being is the spiritual significance of 3. Then, because you might still forget the sighting of the triad, we upped the ante to an even dozen for maximum impact. Seeing us as a baseball team, signifying the power of the collective, togetherness, safety in numbers, a community. You have to admit, hanging out at the Masonic Lodge added an air of mystery, which was the cherry on top. Yeah, I nod. Was there anything else about the lodge that's important to know? Was there a recent death or an impending death connected to that location? No, Mary replies. That's an old wives' tale that we are harbingers of doom. We don't bring death. We're the cleanup crew. So you see, you've nothing to fear from us. In fact, we wouldn't protest if you showed a little bit of gratitude for the service we perform now and then. On behalf of my kind, thank you, Mary. Is there a message that you wish to bring beyond what we've discussed? Indeed, there is, she says emphatically. We represent the in-your-face truth that this life is finite. Many of you would like to pretend otherwise, which does not serve. Face the fact that you only have so many days and make the most of what you have. If you can come to terms with the fact that your time clock might run out at any time, perhaps you might learn to live in the moment with more appreciation and with an eye towards not putting off until tomorrow what you can do today. Because today might be all you have, and that's okay. There's nothing to fear about death. It's a natural process, one you've already experienced a great many times in previous lives. If you focus on doing that which you came here to do each and every day, then when your ticket is punched, there will be no need for regret. You can transition with a clear conscience and with excitement for the next phase of your journey. In our opinion, you'd be better off not planning everything in terms of someday when all the pieces come together. Because, honey, when all the pieces come together, it's over. Your journey is about gathering the pieces and fitting them into place until the picture is complete. Then it's Splitsville, and you're off to a higher dimension. Besides, when you take inspired action sooner rather than later, all sorts of wonderful things happen. Those manifestations you've been dreaming of, they require action. You've got them all plugged up like spiritual constipation for want of some action to get the energy flowing. Get those bodies moving more. Connect with Mother Earth. Allow her powerful energy to ground you to this place while you're here. Just like electricity needs grounding to complete the circuit, so too do you. Without solid grounding, you might float right off the planet. And then where would you be? She looks at me quizzically, laughs, and says, in outer space. Get it? Why do you think they call it spaced out when you're ungrounded and focused somewhere other than the present? You have much to learn, but it's okay. You have time. We just think you'd want to get things moving along so that you reach your destination without regrets for all those things you plan to do someday. I got news for you. Someday is today. It's always today. Do yourself a favor and cogitate on that for a while. See what you might do about it. You can thank me later. Ta for now. I got a lot of living to do yet today. With a wink, she flies up, up, and away off on her continuing adventure of being herself, full out, each and every day until her time clock runs out. And so it is unto infinity. And now I'll leave you with one final fascinating fact. A group of vultures is called a wake. I don't know about you, but that left me a bit gobsmacked. Let it process a moment and then please share your ahas about Vulture in the comments. Let's all learn and grow together on this soul journey to higher consciousness with perhaps a new appreciation for the service that Vulture performs on our behalf. Thank you for watching. This is Deborah Lupien, voice of the Akashic Records. Till next time. Bye.